Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Revolution. The verse that we have in front of us this morning continues Jesus' thoughts about salt and light. Our verse is Matthew chapter 5, verse 16. Jesus says, "Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." In this verse alone, he tells us, in the previous verses, he told us who we were. Now he tells us what we are to do. Let your light shine. So important. People are not going to be drawn to Jesus. They're not going to be drawn to God unless we let our light shine. And he equates our light with the good works. You see, whenever Jesus Christ, the light of the world, is inside of us, it is that light that shines from us. Whenever he lives inside of us, that translates many times into good works of one kind or another. We'll talk about that another time. What I want to talk about this today is the idea of let your light so shine. Notice the first word that he uses there is the word let. He's giving us a command. Let your light shine. The word let implies that we have a choice to make. And so we can either do what is necessary to make sure that light is able to shine through us, or we can just ignore it and watch that light grow dimmer and dimmer. He's telling us to do what needs to be done to remove anything that would keep the light of Christ from shining through. Now, that doesn't mean that if your light is not shining, it does not mean that you don't have Christ. It just means that there is something like a cloud or a dirty window that is keeping the light from shining through. I gave this example on Sunday, and maybe you haven't heard it before, but back in the day, my grandparents lit their house with a kerosene lamp. And the thing about kerosene lamps is they have a glass globe that goes over the wick so that as the fire comes up, it's contained and shines brightly that way. It keeps the wind from blowing it out and all those kind of things. But occasionally someone would turn the wick up way too high. And even though that seems to give more light, it also gives off more smoke and soot. And that soot would begin to cake on the inside of the globe that was on top of the kerosene lamp itself. And instead of making more light come through, it was actually causing less light to shine through. That's what Jesus is talking about here. He says, do what you have to do to make sure that there is nothing that obscures the light that is in you, which is Jesus Christ. Just like on that kerosene lamp that my grandmother used, even though it was dirty and there was no light really shining through, there was light in there. There was no doubt that the fire was still burning, but just the light from the fire was not able to get through. And so he's telling us, remove whatever it is. Do whatever you have to do to make sure that the light can shine through. For me, what are the things that cause the light to not shine through? What is it that dirties up my lamp globe? For me, it is worry. Sometimes I'll get into a fit of worry about what the future holds, because the Lord is doing better in me, but there's a part of me that wants to be able to control my day and my future, and worry causes me to, and the fact that I'm not able to control my day, the fact that my future is unknown to me, on my worst days, it will cause me to worry. What about the people that I hang around with? Obviously, I'm not talking about people in the church here, but I have people that I meet, regularly at a coffee shop. I say regularly, it used to be real regular, now it's just sporadic, but people that I would meet at a coffee shop that were not Christians at all. Their language was very foul. Their illustrations were very foul. Their thoughts were not toward God at all. The conversations that I would have with them would leave me feeling dirty, at times. The things that I choose to let myself read, the things that I choose to watch on TV, the things that I choose to listen to on the radio, if I'm not careful about those things, if I don't watch myself, then those things begin to cloud up cover up that globe where the light doesn't shine through. Well, the Apostle Paul tells us that if we're going to let the light shine, if we're going to choose to do what is necessary to make the light shine, he says we're going to have to get serious about it. Very serious. What's more serious than death? Well, he tells us to kill that part of ourself that would desire to have those to enter into dirty conversations that would cause us to desire to listen to or watch or read things that are not uplifting, and glorifying to God. The Apostle Paul says it this way it's Colossians chapter 3, verse 5. Listen to this. Therefore, put to death your members which are on the earth. He's talking about the members, our tongue, our minds, our hands, our feet, our bodies. He's saying sin works out through those things. The sin that would obscure the light works out through your mind, works out through your mouth, works out through your hands and your feet, and eventually your whole body follows. And so he's saying, put to death those things that would cause the members of your body to sin. He says, the members which are on the earth, such as fornication, fooling around whenever you have no right to fool around sexually with somebody, uncleanness, passions. This is talking about sins of the mind and of the eyes, that whenever we begin to dwell on things that, we have a natural desire for sex, we have a natural desire for intimacy, but the devil wants to pervert that and causes us to think inordinately about those things and to fantasize. And that's what he's talking about here, about fornication, uncleanliness, and especially passion. He says, evil desires, put to death that, and covetousness, wishing that you had what your neighbor had, and wondering why they were able to get what they have and you haven't been able to. He says, that's idolatry. But he goes on in verse 8 and he says, he uses a different term. In this one he says, put to death these things. This one he gives the image of an article of clothing. And he, in verse 8 of Colossians 3, he says, but now you yourselves are to put off all these things. These are things that hinder the light from shining through. He says, anger. He says, put that off. Don't let that be a part of your life. Wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy language, and do not lie to one another. These things, they may seem kind of small. Well, I'm just an angry person. I'm a bit Irish, or my family are always angry. Wrath is just something that comes naturally to me. Malice, evil desires for people, having an evil intent. Blasphemy, that does sound bad. Filthy language, the language in our nation among its citizens has really devolved so low. Whenever you think that, whenever I was a kid, there are some words that just were not ever spoken that are just common language right now. Filthy language, he says, put it out of your mouth. And he says, don't lie to one another. This is a choice that we have. And the choice is we have some control, but the control really only extends to the part where we are able to make the choice to say, God, help me. Because a lot of these things that we've mentioned here, they are habitual. It's a habitual way of speaking, a habitual way of thinking, a habitual way of acting. And yeah, habits are hard to break. And so we need to be willing to let God, through Jesus Christ, work through us. And if we were just to say, God, the Holy Spirit's showing me that this filthy language is not something that I should have in my life. That Lord, this passion, this covetousness, these thoughts that I'm having, they're not things that I should have in my life. I want you to help me remove them. Lord, kill that thing within me so that it doesn't come out through my members. Lord, help me break these bad habits of foul language and stretching the truth and lying and those kind of things. So the thing that we're talking about here, and I'm going to close here in just a second, whenever Jesus says, let your light shine, he's not telling you to produce light. The light that shines through is Jesus Christ. He's saying, let that light shine through you. And the choice that you have to make is, if I want the light of Christ to come through me clearly in such a way that it draws people to Jesus Christ, then I need to be willing to put to death those things that influence my mind, my mouth, my hands, my feet, and my entire body. I need to put away those habits that are not glorifying to God. And whenever we're willing to do that, Jesus is willing to begin to clean us up. Whenever we begin to see that what we are doing, the things that are part of us, are hindering the light of Christ, and we want that to be removed, you'll be surprised how quickly Jesus rushes in to help us overcome those habits, those strongholds, those patterns that are in our life. So today, as you go about your work, allow the Holy Spirit to show you the things that need to be dealt with very forcefully. They need to be put to death. Let him show you those things that you need to just put off. Don't let them be a part of your life anymore. And as the Holy Spirit shows you, don't allow yourself to be bummed out, condemned, thinking, how in the world do I call myself a Christian? But realize the Holy Spirit points these things out to us so that we can so that as we see them, we can turn them over to Jesus and let him root those things out of us. The Holy Spirit's conviction is always for the purpose of bringing us closer to God. Condemnation that makes me say, oh, what kind of a foul Christian am I? How can I call myself a Christian? That is the voice of Satan, because conviction from the devil is all about separating us from God. But conviction is about condemnation is about separating us from God, and conviction is all about bringing us to God. Okay, I hope I made that clear. Listen to it again. Maybe you'll understand it. So, I love you all. God bless you. Grace and peace, everybody. Have a wonderful day.